hippogriffs, Hagrid roared happily, waving a hand at them. Beautiful, aren't they? Harry could sort of see what Hagrid meant. Once you got over the first shock of seeing something that was half horse, half bird, you started to appreciate the hippogriff's gleaming coat, changing smoothly from feather to hair, each of them a different color, stormy gray, bronze, a pinkish roan, gleaming chestnut, and inky black. So, said Hagrid, rubbing his hands together and beaming around, if you want to come a bit closer, a bit nearer. No one seemed to want to. Harry, Ron, and Hermione, however, approached the fence cautiously. Now, first thing you got to know about hippogriffs is they're proud, said Hagrid. Easily offended hippogriffs are. Don't never insult one, 'cause it might be the last thing you do. Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle weren't listening. They were talking in an undertone, and Harry had a nasty feeling that they were plotting how best to disrupt the lesson. Yeah, always wait for the hippogriff to make the first move, Hagrid continued. It's polite, see? You walk towards him, you bow, and you wait. If he bows back, you're allowed to touch him. If he doesn't bow, then get away from him sharpish, 'cause those talons hurt. Right, who wants to go first? Most of the class backed further away in answer. Even Harry, Ron, and Hermione had misgivings. The hippogriffs were tossing their fierce heads and flexing their powerful wings. They didn't seem to like being tethered like this. No one, said Hagrid with a pleading look. I'll do it, said Harry. There was an intake of breath from behind him, and both Lavender and Parvati whispered, Oh no, Harry, remember the tea leaves? Harry ignored them. He climbed over the paddock fence. Good man, Harry, roared Hagrid. Right then, let's see how you get on with Buckbeak. He untied one of the chains, pulled the grey hippogriff away from his fellows, and slipped off his leather collar. The class on the other side of the paddock seemed to be holding its breath. Malfoy's eyes were narrowing maliciously. Easy now, Harry, said Hagrid quietly. You got eye contact. Now, try not to blink. Hippogriffs don't trust you if you blink too much. Harry's eyes immediately began to water, but he didn't shut them. Buckbeak had turned his great sharp head and was staring at Harry with one fierce orange eye. That's it, said Hagrid. That's it, Harry. Now, bow. Harry didn't feel much like exposing the back of his neck to Buckbeak, but he did as he was told. He gave a short bow and then looked up. The hippogriff was still staring haughtily at him. It didn't move. Ah, said Hagrid, sounding worried. Right, back away now, Harry. Easy does it. But then, to Harry's enormous surprise, the hippogriff suddenly bent his scaly front knees and sank into what was an unmistakable bow. Well done, Harry, said Hagrid ecstatically. Right, you can touch him, pat his beak, go on. Feeling that a better reward would have been to back away, Harry moved slowly towards the hippogriff and reached out towards him. He patted the beak several times, and the hippogriff closed his eyes lazily, as though enjoying it. The class broke into applause, all except Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle, who were looking deeply disappointed. Right then, Harry, said Hagrid. I reckon he might let you ride him. This was more than Harry had bargained for. He was used to a broomstick, but he wasn't sure a hippogriff would be quite the same. You climb up there, just behind the wing joint, said Hagrid, and mind you don't pull any of his feathers out. He won't like that. Harry put his foot on the top of Buckbeak's wing and hoisted himself onto his back. Buckbeak stood up. Harry wasn't sure where to hold on. Everything in front of him was covered in feathers. Go on, then, roared Hagrid, slapping the hippogriff's hindquarters. Without warning, the 12-foot wings flapped open on either side of Harry. He just had time to seize the hippogriff around the neck before he was soaring upwards. It was nothing like a broomstick. Harry knew which one he preferred. The hippogriff's wings were beating uncomfortably on either side of him, catching him under his legs and making him feel like he was about to be thrown off. The glossy feathers slipped under his fingers, and he didn't dare get a strong grip. Instead of the smooth action of his Nimbus 2000, he now felt himself rocking backwards and forwards as the hindquarters of the hippogriff rose and fell with his wings. Buckbeak flew him once around the paddock and then headed back down to the ground. This was the bit of Harry that Harry had been dreading. He leaned back as the smooth neck lowered, feeling he was going to flip off over the beak. Then he felt a heavy thud as the 4 ill-assorted feet hit the ground, and just managed to hold on and push himself straight again. "Good work, Harry!" roared Hagrid, as everyone except Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle cheered. "Okay, who else wants to go?"